I found new Wonderkids that you all need to add to your shortlist. Because in the couple of simulations that I've done on FM24, they turned out to be incredible. And I've stayed away from the obvious like Lamine Yamal. And I've included some really tasty South Americans that I've never even heard of. We're kicking things off in Denmark with Elias Gillette. Now again, these are new Wonderkids to me, I guess. They might have been on the game in previous iterations. You might have bought them and thought they were quite good. But from what I've seen from the simulations in the future, these have either had a big upgrade, obviously we can't tell yet because of the new editor, or I've just never seen them before. But either way, I'm going to bring them to your attention. He's 20 years of age, I think he's quality. You can get him for around £3 to £9 million, so it's a bit of a vague thing there. But I think for a natural right back who can also play left back with a reasonable left foot, that's a really good price, because already at age 20, he has decent pace, acceleration, etc. A lot of 15s in the mental attributes, and technicals on a wing back. You're never going to see them be exceptional. However, let's take a look at what he looks like in the future. So he's at Porto at age 27, and as you can see from his attributes, there are a lot of 15s, a lot of 16s. He's developed into a cracking little right back there. One of the best in Europe he could be, to be honest. Porto picked him up for £25 million off of Chelsea, who picked him up for just £9.7 million. Didn't really use him a lot and still managed to get a profit, but that tells you all about Chelsea, I guess. I found that quite often in these simulations. They tend to buy some of the best players in the world and then never use them. So maybe you can be the Wonderkid saviour, as it would be. Or Second Yellow Card's going to do probably a full video on players rescued from Chelsea. That's my hope. But again, just £10 million. And if I bought that for £10 million, I would be buzzing with myself. Now, you've probably already heard of Sebastiano Esposito and Salvatore Esposito. I've been big fans. I've even done videos on both of them, I believe, in the past. However, they've got a third brother. He's at Spezia at the start of the game, Francesco Pio Esposito, and this year is his year. FM24 is his year. He's just 18 years of age. He's on loan from Inter Milan, so that first season, it might be tricky to pick him up. However, stick him in your shortlist. Keep a tab on him, because you wait till you see how good he looks in the future. Right now, you can see a very good-looking player. Well, he's attractive. He's 18, Luke. You can't say that. 6'2", 15 determination, good head and ability. Now, he's not the quickest, but neither was his brother, to be honest, the other striker, Sebastiano. He's got a good amount of pace, but not exceptional. He's not in for that. He's more of a target-type forward. He's got good head and ability, decent finish, very good jump and reach, and he's 6'2". But let's have a look at him in the future. As I mentioned, I think he could be better than what his brother Sebastiano Esposito was. Francesco Pio is a monster in this game if you give him the game time and let him develop. Now, his only weakness, I would probably say, is that he has 13 pace. But I'm not really caring too much about that, because he is more of a hold-up type of striker. He has his plays with back to goal as a player trait. I think he's fantastic. He has a really good passing ability. Not the best at vision, but that's still 15 passing is going to get you somewhere. But the rest of the technicals in the striking department, 17 for finishing, great first touch. He can dribble a bit too, good head and ability, good composure, anticipation, the physicals, other than the pace. He's a bit monstrous, isn't he? For 25 years of age here, he stayed at Inter, and he's starting to play a lot of games now. He played 36 games there, 35 starts with 13 goals. Another one here where he's only played 15 starts and 16 off the bench, and he got 11 goals. I think he's really good. The first player from South America that I was alluding to earlier is Johan Garces. He's 17 years of age, and I don't have him in my face pack, which tells me, because this was FM23's face pack, he wasn't in the last year's game. So, this is a brand new Wonderkid that I definitely know was not in the last game, and yet he's decent. Well, hold on to see what he's like in the future, because right now, at 17, he has a lot of promise, doesn't he? Natural fitness of 17 already is a big tick for me, because that means if he does stay away from injuries, etc., he could have a long and fruitful career. Decent amount of finishing and heading, a lot of 13s in there, especially for a 17-year-old who's already 6'1" as well. And I mentioned about the last striker that was quite tall. I value height quite a lot now in Football Manager. So he doesn't cost a lot either, only up to 800k. Whether you can get a work permit in England, etc., is probably not going to be possible. but at least put him in your shortlist anyway. Johan ended up at Manchester City on this simulation at 25 years of age, probably looking to leave because he's transfer listed, so for 10 million pound after that. But I think if you were like a lower side in Europe, you'd probably be picking this guy up because he doesn't really have anything wrong with him, does he? It's just that Man City probably still have Erling Haaland and is not going to play him. He played 15 appearances there, all off the bench, and he still got 4 goals. They got him on a free transfer in 28-29, so he never left Colombia, but before that, I mean, look at these seasons here. 19 goals in 36, 19 there in 33. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Then, unfortunately, his career was kind of hampered by that move to Manchester City. But a lot of great attributes still. And if you gave him some game time, maybe he'd be even better. But Johan Garces, I mean, that's a pickup. A really easy, cheap pickup that you might be taking a look at the start of the game. Adam Wharton's probably the opposite of Garces in the fact that he probably was in the game last year. He just definitely wasn't this good. Already at the start of the game, at age 19 at Blackburn, he's very good. He's actually wanted probably by some Premier League clubs, Sheffield United being one of them, but he doesn't cost a lot. I bought him in the first season, I think was around about £15 million. So if you're one of these Premier League clubs who don't get given a lot of money, maybe the £8 to £10 million mark, buy him with a few installments because he is a very good CDM on the game. Just 19. Blackburn asked to loan him back this season when I did actually buy him, and I decided to go for that because I want all of these attributes to get better and better. He already has fantastic player traits too. He's a ball-playing centre defence midfielder who can also play a little bit higher up should you need him to. At just 19, you wait till he gets to like 25, 26, he's exceptional. Here, he's done it, Jude Bellingham. He's gone to Real Madrid and absolutely bossing it too. He looks to be an absolute fantastic midfielder. 36 to 109 million pound now he's worth. So again, like I mentioned, if you did pick him up in that first season where you had to pay a little bit in installments and you sold him on, I mean, they bought him for 33 million after Leeds only paid 19 million pound the second season. So good bit of business there, I guess. And he is playing a lot of games, but I mean, that's 30 appearances, all of them off the bench. So if he was given a little bit more game time, he could be even better, but I still think that's an exceptional midfielder. A lot of 16s there. I mean, physicals, I love the physicals being that high because he's not exactly a ball-winning midfielder, but being a progressive midfielder, being very agile in there, I think that pays off quite well for when you're carrying the ball. So like a box-to-box, etc., I think he's really good for that, and he has a lot of player traits which will help that too. So Adam Wharton is a fantastic midfielder on this game. Back on the flight to South America, though, to Ecuador, and we have Alan Obando. This guy's exceptional. Now, he plays for Barcelona SC, not the one in Spain, all right? That's a South American club right there who has a very similar badge, so that's how easy it is to find him. He is Ecuadorian. He's 17 years of age at the start of the game, and I think he's really good. And when you see him in the future, you're going to understand exactly why he is on this list. Even just starting out, though, he's 6 foot. He's got good right foot, but a reasonable left foot too. A lot of 14s, especially in where you'd want them to be as a striker. Let's have a look at him. He's only £1.5 million, by the way. That's his maximum. Again, work permit might be a problem. Keep him on your shortlist. Once he gets to a good enough age, then you might be able to get a work permit for him, or just buy him anyway, loan him out. Anyway, let's take a look at him in the future. Now, there was a couple of better simulations I could have shown you for Alan Obando, but I thought I'd show you the bad one just to show you how good it still is. Because yes, he's developed quite well, not exceptionally well, but where you need the attributes to be, he's still got it. 16 in pace, acceleration, and agility. We've got good decision making. He's got cracking off the ball, and in those technicals, where you'd like him to be, they've got it. As you can see, he's at Brighton. Brighton are usually really good at using these types of players, maybe not so much on the game. They signed him for £2.4 million, used him sparingly in the first season. He got 7 goals, but he only started 14 games in the Premier League. But before that, he left on a free transfer from Barcelona in Ecuador to another team in Ecuador where they played him and they made a lot out of him because 17 goals there in 31 games, 19 goals in 32 games. It's just still so cheap when they managed to pick him up for 2.4 million when he was on an 8 out of 15 season. So Alan Obando, maybe just put him in your shortlist and just see whether he's going to be of use to you, because at any point it looks like he could be quite cheap. Again, a player that was probably decent on last year's one, but maybe not as good as what he is on this one. We got Dion Kamari. He's Austrian, plays at Red Bull Salzburg like a lot of these talents do, because they're just they have a very good youth academy, don't they? A very good youth system of finding these players. He's one of the most expensive players on this list at the start of the game. Like, this is just loaded through right at the start. 6.4 to 19 million pound, that is on the higher end. However, if you're one of the elite clubs in Europe, stick him on your transfer list after a season or two when he gets first team football, because I believe he plays first team football for Salzburg. You're going to see a cracking player. Let's take a look. Now, in this simulation, we can see Kamiri is at Manchester United. However, he did have a little bit of a move previous to Barcelona. So that was his first move in that second season. You can see they capitalised on what I mentioned for £20.5 million. In that first season, they played him 31 times. And he scored 10 goals. He had a decent season. It started to drop off a little bit when you go further back. 4 starts there, 21 appearances off the bench in this season here, and that was kind of his downfall then, because the majority of the time then he was coming off the bench. This season he started 20 games, didn't do as well, but he had a good season again with 5 goals and 3 assists in just 13 starts and 15 off the bench, which gave him a £20 million move to Manchester United. And I actually think, looking at his attributes, I think if you were to utilise him a little bit better, you might get a bit more out of him. I think he could be a really good shadow striker. A lot of passing, good long shots, first touch, dribbling, a lot of 15s, a few 16s dotted around there, and cracking off the ball. So, yeah, I like him. A lot of good player traits as well. It's whether you decide that he is worth it for the money, because he is, like I mentioned, a little bit more expensive than some of the previous ones that we've got. But if you are going to use him, I think that expense is well worth it. I've even got a goalie on this list, but again, he's very expensive. He's at Toulouse. It's Guillaume Restes, French, 18-year-old, good reflexes, etc. It's not the one that you're going to be picking up at the start of the game. Absolutely not. But over time, once you've got a little bit better and he's got a little bit better and you have a little bit of money to spend, because there's a lot of teams that have a lot of money to spend at the very start of the game, then you can go back to Toulouse and see what Restes is doing. But let's have a see what he does develop into, because as a goalkeeper, I think he's got quite quick development, to be fair. Another player that's at Manchester United on this simulation, he is their #1 goalkeeper as well, which says a lot, to be fair, because at age 26, yeah, he's phenomenal. A lot of 15s and just where you like it. A goalkeeper I always find is what you like to prioritize. Now, one-on-ones and passing ability, that seems to be what we're going into the new era of being a goalkeeper is like, because he also has 18 vision. So if you are looking for that ball-playing goalkeeper, Restes is somebody that you need to stick on your list, because I think he's exceptional. And the reason probably why Manchester United are not using Onana anymore is that eccentricity is as low as 6. And eccentricity is the attribute where it's tendency to do the unexpected with or without the ball. You don't want that. You want him to be reliable. So having that as a low attribute of 6 is a very good thing, and the rest of his attributes are fantastic. This one's definitely a new player because he's 16. Again, he's not in my face pack. And Shaquille Van Persie, you recognise his name, of course you do. It's Robin Van Persie's son. He's very good. He's at Feyenoord, just 16 years of age at the start. I've heard a lot about this kid in real life because, of course, my love for Robin Van Persie when he came to Manchester United, and he's just a great player, I guess, in general. But I know that this guy has been very good in youth teams. So I was excited when I knew that he was in the game. He's a little bit expensive, 14.5 million. It could be worth it in the future. Let's have a look. Now, I've caught Shaquille quite early in this simulation because he's still only 21. This is about 5 years into the future. He's just got to move to West Ham. And at age 21, I still thought it would be worth showing you him because I still think there's something here of a player, which even though he still has a lot of development by the looks of this scout report that I've got while I'm managing at Chelsea. £13.5 billion, they have just bought him from Feyenoord. It looks like it was a January signing as well. He had just started getting into the first team. He got 3 goals in 14 games there, but he's on the bench, and he's got 1 in 3 with 1 player of the match playing for West Ham now in the Premier League. So this guy still needs first team football. The other simulation that I had, he stayed at Feyenoord, he got first team football, but this simulation, he still looks better than the last one. So I think maybe he definitely has that potential variation instead of a fixed potential. This is probably on the upper end of what the other one was. One of my favourite things on Football Manager is beast strikers, and this guy's the definition of it. Samu Omorodion. Now, he's Spanish, 19 years of age. You can find him at Alaves. He's a little bit pricey. He is also on loan from Atletico Madrid. However, he's an animal. just at 19, he has very good attributes in my animalistic type of striker that I like. He has the finishing ability, and he's not that best at heading. A lot of bravery, though. Good flair, good off the ball. 6'4" with 15 strength and 16 for pace. Oh, 16 jump and reach too. Plays his back to goal, tries first time shots. There's a lot to like about this guy, and when you see him in the future, I think he's the one that I like the most so far on this list. Now, don't ask me how Granada still have Samu, but he is there. He is at Granada, and he's banging in goals, and I don't know why nobody has come in for him yet. This is 5 years into the future again. 19 goals there in one of the first seasons. Then he got 15 in the last two. Granada are not exactly one of the best teams in La Liga. And look how good he is. He's phenomenal. An absolute monster, like I mentioned. It's just his technicals, isn't it? If you look at the rest, his mentals and his physicals, you look at that and going, whoa. But it's just his technicals, which are a little bit lazy or a little bit letting him down, to be fair. Just a 15 for finishing there. Decent technique and good long shots. If only he had a bit more heading, then maybe we would see him move. But this is still only 24. He still might have a little bit of his development to go, or in other simulations he might have a higher potential range to reach. But the physicals, 6'4" with that 17 pace and a lot of good jump and reach and a lot of agility and balance. Oh, he's my type of player for sure. You guys also know I'm a sucker for a fantastic name, and Jakub Napoleon Romsas. He's nailed that one, isn't he? 19 years of age, he's Norwegian. He's at Tromsø. Again, he might have been in the game last year, but I think he's got a bit of an upgrade, possibly because he's playing in the first teams. I don't know, maybe Norwegians, let me know down in the comments. He is what my dad would call a squad player. He plays naturally in the centre of the park, in that attacking midfielder or midfield centre, but he can play quite a lot of positions, and I think his attributes reflect that, especially at the beginning here. Now, at 19, I would hope to be a little bit better than this, but maybe he has one of those late blooming development things that we've heard that Football Manager 2024 has in the game. But with that determination of 15, a good amount of flair, and he's got a decent personality as well, as resilient. He does grow into a fantastic player. Let's take a look. Jakub Napoleon Romsas is at Aston Villa. The Norwegian, 28 years old now, and a very good value, absolutely. Some 15s in there, a lot of 14s. You can see he's kind of like a well-rounded midfielder. He's actually reminds me of John McGinn a little bit, because he has, I mean, he's not as good as work rate, etc., but he's kind of that guy that's not amazing at one thing, but he's not bad at kind of anything in that attacking midfield type of role. Good player traits as well. Let's have a look at his career stats, though, because he's had some career. He went to Manchester United and didn't play a lot. Then he went to Bayern Munich on a loan deal. Then a £33 million move. So Man United cashed in there, considering it was only 2.3. That's something that they don't do in real life. But he went to Bayern Munich and played more of a squad player role, much more than what he did at Manchester United in the Premier League. He only started 6 games there, 3 starts, but he's getting 20 appearances each season, but with good average rating, so even when he's coming off the bench. Finally, he got a move to Aston Villa after the start of this season here in the 2030-2031 for £45 million, and then didn't play much, Aston Villa. I don't understand it, until this season where he started 16 games with 9 appearances off the bench, got 4 goals and 4 assists, and a good average rating again. So possibly, this guy just needs some love, some game time, and he could be even better than this. But that is my list. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, I've got plenty of them. I'm even sticking some out on TikTok and on Twitter. So make sure you follow me on Twitter, make sure you follow me on TikTok, and go and watch this video here, because we just rebuilt Chelsea properly.